Hi, boys and girls. Today is Wednesday, the 13th of May. I hope you had a great day yesterday. Today, we're going to be talking about metric measurement. Today, we're doing lesson 13.4, and we're going to be exploring metric units of length. So, if you do not have your guided notes printed out yet, you might want to do that if you have access to a printer. Pause this video, go get those notes, print it out. It's going to help you tremendously. If you do not have a printer that works, you can take out a piece of paper right now and just copy down as much as you can. So today's goal is to convert metric units of length from one unit to another and to recognize the relative size of different units. So, metric units of length include things like meters and kilometers and centimeters and millimeters. And converting metric lengths is actually a lot easier, in my opinion, than customary. Metric is the system that most of the world uses, although here in America, we use both customary and metric. Customary is nice because it works off of our base 10 number system. And because of that, we are dealing with a lot of zeros, and it makes multiplying and dividing a lot easier. So I think that it is easier than customary. And we like anything that's easy, right? All right, some conversions to know. In 1 centimeter, there are 10 millimeters. So a millimeter is really, really tiny. I wish that I had a centimeter ruler to show you guys. So a centimeter ruler, like 1 centimeter is like tiny. It's like between right there and there. It might even be tinier than that. And then picture 10 little millimeters inside of it. Okay. So millimeters are really tiny. Then we have a centimeter, which is actually pretty tiny also. And then we have a meter. So at 1 meter, it's kind of like those long meter sticks that I have in the classroom. That equals 100 centimeters. So 100 of these, almost like your fingertip. If you had 100 fingers lined up, right, it would be a big meter stick. And then we have, let's see, 1 meter, 100 centimeters, and there would be then 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter stick. Now, kilometers is what we measure like driving distances, so it's pretty far. 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So if I took from my classroom those meter sticks, those long sticks, and I lined up 1,000 of them end to end, that would be 1 kilometer. All right, and the cool thing about it is that we can easily convert because it's multiples of 10. So let's get started. Corey jumped 2 meters and Gary jumped 175 centimeters. Who jumped farther? So we know here that we are going from 2 meters and 175 centimeters. So the first thing I notice is that I have two different units of length. I need to convert 2 meters to centimeters. So in order to do that, I look up here and I know that 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So 2 meters would equal 200 centimeters. All right. We can easily multiply and get 200 because our basic fact, 2 times 1 is 2. And then we add on our 2 zeros. So we know that Corey jumped 200 centimeters. Okay, our second step is to compare these lengths because the question was who jumped farther. So 200 centimeters is more than 175 centimeters. Right now we can compare them because they're in the same unit. So Corey jumped farther than Gary. And there it is. All right, let's try another example. We're talking here about the length of Toby's pencil is 25 centimeters. How long is Tony's pencil in millimeters? Okay, so here we are. We're going from a bigger unit, right, to a smaller unit, millimeters. And so we are going to multiply, right? Big, silly monkeys. So what are we going to multiply by? Well, we know that 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. How do we know that? It says it right up here, right? So we're going to multiply by 10. So we're going to take 25 times 10. And we could do that cliffhanger if we wanted to. We could also just do it mental math. 25 times 1 is 25. And then because that has 1 0, we're going to add on a 0. So Toby's pencil is 250 millimeters long. Okay, moving down to another example. How many centimeters is 7 meters? So here we're taking 7 meters and we want to know how many centimeters it is. Well, I know that there are, in 1 meter, there's 100 centimeters. How do I know that? If I go back and look, 1 meter is 100 centimeters. Okay, so that means that in 7 meters, I would have 700 centimeters. I multiplied 7 times 100 and got 700. Let's take a look down here. All right, so all of these examples here are going, I notice, from centimeters to millimeters. So it's going from a bigger to a smaller, I multiply. I also know that in 1 centimeter, there are 10 millimeters, right? I got that from right here. 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. So to go from centimeters to millimeters, all I have to do is multiply by 10. So 6 centimeters multiplied by 10, 6 times 10 would be 60 millimeters. If I had 14 centimeters, I'm still multiplying by 10, and I would get 140 millimeters. In 80 centimeters, 80 times 10, right? I could do 8 times 1 is 8, add on the 2 zeros, so I'd have 800 millimeters. And 123 centimeters times 10 is 1,230, right? You notice that I'm just adding on an extra 0, right? We're when we multiply by 10, we add on an extra 0. In 5th grade, you're going to be learning about, and I have mentioned this to you, right? If you have like the number 1, okay, there's an invisible decimal point. You don't see it because we don't really need it, but there's an invisible decimal point after every whole number to the right of it, right? If we're multiplying by powers of 10, we're going to take that decimal point and we're going to move it over 1 spot, and then we would have our 0 to fill that space. So when we multiply by 10, we're just moving that decimal point 1 place to the right. Okay, you'll learn more about that in 5th grade. Okay, let's try this example. How many meters is 11 kilometers? All right, so I'm going from, right, we can kind of reword it. 11 kilometers equals blank meters, right? I'm going from a big to a small, so I want to multiply. I know that in 1 kilometer, there are 1,000 meters, right? Remember, we talked about that up there. 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So I would have to multiply 11 times 1,000. 11 times 1,000, and what do I get? Well, I could take my basic fact, 11 times 1 is 11, and then I have 1, 2, 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3 zeros, so my answer is 11,000. I notice here I'm going from meters to millimeters in every single example, right? So I need to know in 1 meter, how many millimeters do I have? So let's look up here. In 1 meter, I have 1,000 millimeters. It's a lot, right? 1,000 little tiny little spots. So I'm going to need to multiply by 1,000, right? So same thing here. If I have 2 meters, I have 2,000 millimeters. If I have 4 meters, I have 4,000 millimeters. If I have 7 meters, I have 7,000 millimeters, right? I'm just multiplying by 1,000. And 15 meters would be 15,000 millimeters. Let's move on to the next page. Up at the top, we have our basic conversion chart cheat sheet, same thing as before. On the other side, we also have our thinking points, right? When we're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, you multiply, right? Always write the basic conversion underneath the original. And if your measurement is a mixed number, you need to first convert it to an improper fraction before you're doing your work. All right. So here's some examples without mixed numbers. Then you have some examples with mixed numbers. If I were you right now, I would pause this video, go ahead and try these, do the work yourself, and then you can unpause it and come back for the answers. All right. I am going from a centimeters to millimeters. So I'm going from a big to a small. So I need to multiply. Big, silly monkeys. All right. Now, I know that in 1 centimeter, I have 10 millimeters. So, if I had 74 centimeters, I'm going to multiply 74 times 10. And I would get 740. All right, good job. All right, let's do the next one. Where's my other little post-it? I don't know. All right, so for this next guy, I have 13 meters equals how many centimeters? Meters to centimeters. So I'm going from big to small, multiply. I know that in 1 meter, I have 100 centimeters, right? I have it up here, 1 meter, 100 centimeters. So I need to multiply. So I need to multiply 13 times 100. And when I do that, I get 1,300 or 1,300. Next, I have 8 kilometers equals how many meters, right? Well, I know that 1 kilometer equals, let's see, how many meters? 1,000 meters. Okay. So I'm going from big to small, multiply. So in 8 kilometers, there would be 8,000 meters, right? 8 times 1,000 would be 8,000. Hopefully you got that as your answer. And we have 4 meters equals how many millimeters? Well, in 1 meter, we have 1,000 millimeters. If you don't believe me, look right up here. So I'm 4 meters. I'm going to multiply that by 1,000. It's going to be 4,000 millimeters. So see how easy that is? I feel like multiplying by powers of 10 is just so much easier than the customary conversions we were doing. All right. Even when it comes to mixed numbers, it's still pretty easy. It's not quite as, as hard. So let's talk about that. We are going from meters to centimeters. So we know that in 1 meter, we have 100 centimeters. So therefore, we're going to multiply 1.5 times 100. Okay, no, not a big problem, right? We're going to get mad, change this into an improper fraction. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So we have 3 halves times 100 over 1. If it's a whole number, then you better put a 100, right? All right. Can we cross cancel? I can't do anything with the 3 and the 1, but the 2 and the 100 I could. I could divide 2 by itself. So 2 divided by 2 would be 1. And I could divide 100 by 2. 100 divided by 2 would be 50. And now I can multiply top times top over bottom times bottom. 3 times 50. Well, 3 times 5 is 15. And then I'm going to add on that 0. And 1 over 1, 1 times 1 is 1, which gives me 150 centimeters. All right, let's try another one. We have 1.5 centimeters equals how many millimeters? All right, well, we're going from centimeters to millimeters, right? Big to small, multiply. I know in 1 centimeter, it equals 10 millimeters. So I just need to multiply these two values. 1.5 times 10. And let's see, 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1, so it's 3 halves times 10 over 1. Can I cross cancel? I can here. Can I do anything there? No. So how does that look? We'll divide both by 2. And 3 times 5 is 15. Over 1 would be just 15. So 1.5 centimeters is going to be 15 millimeters. And that makes sense, right? Because 1 centimeter would be 10, and then a half of 10 would be 5, so it'd be 15. All right, 3.5 kilometers equals how many meters? Well, 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So I'm going to have to multiply 3.5 times 1,000. So I'm going to do 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So I have 7 halves times 1,000 over 1. Okay. Can I cross cancel? Yep, I can divide by 2. And 1,000 divided by 2 would be 500. Right? And now I can multiply top times top over bottom times bottom. So what's 7 times 500? Well, 7 times 5 is 35. And then I'm going to add on my 2 zeros. So I have 3,500. Okay. Now this last one is a little tricky. We're going from kilometers to centimeters. So 1 kilometer, well, do we know how many centimeters it is? If we look up here, I don't. I only know that it's 1,000 meters. Now, I could figure it out. I could multiply, right? But let me show you another way. I want to show you using a model. So I'm going to use this white space over here. All right, so I have 3.5 kilometers. So I'm going to pretend that each of these is 1 kilometer. So that's 3, that's 4, and I would divide that in half. So if each of these squares is a kilometer, what I could do is I could now convert it to meters, right? I know 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters. So that would be 1,000 meters. This guy would be 1,000 meters. This guy would be 1,000 meters. And then this would be half of 1,000. So it would be 500 meters. Okay. And if I counted them, I would have 3,500 meters equals however many centimeters. What I'm looking for is centimeters. So now I can go from meters to centimeters because I know that 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. Sorry, it's hard to see this right now. I'm at the edge of my paper. So 3,500 meters would be 3,500 times 100, right? Which would be, if we did that, 3,500 times 100. Okay, let's change my color here. We could do our basic fact. 35 times 1 would be 35. And then how many zeros do we need? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, comma, 1, 2, 3. And I would get 350,000 centimeters. Wow, that's a lot of centimeters in a kilometer, in 3.5 kilometers, right? And you could have also, just so you know, if you wanted to do this in 1 step instead of 2 steps, we could have multiplied the 100, right, by, let's see, because we were figuring out, we knew that there was 1,000 meters in a kilometer, and then how many centimeters are in 1 meter is 100. So 1,000 times 100 and then multiply, it would have given us the same answer if we wanted to do that in the one step. All right, guys, those are our notes for today. I'm just going to go back. Let's see. Oh, no, I don't even have it. Well, actually, I can get it for you. Let's see. I'm going to show you what your math assignment is for today. Classwork. Okay. So today you are going to be now watching this number rock video. It's 2 minutes long. Then you're going to complete math workbook pages 699 to 700. I want you to do all of the problems. I've attached a answer key right to this assignment. So after you do those workbook pages, I want you to correct your work. Do not cheat, right? All of this, it's not really worth it to cheat, because then you're just cheating yourself out of knowing how to do it, right? It's almost not worth even doing if you're going to cheat. So make sure that you don't look up the answers first. First, you want to do the work, and then just check your answers using the answer key. And it's okay if you get some wrong. You're just checking it and seeing what you understand. And then if you're so inclined, if you could take a picture of your completed workbook pages and attach it to the assignment, that would be amazing. I would really appreciate that. If you can't figure out how to take a picture, then don't worry about it. I trust that you did it. All right, guys, you have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow.